first of all, I thank Left Forum to invite me to this meeting, and I'm very happy to be amongst the campus here. Today, we basically talk about the plight of two workers, activists in Iran, Sharokh Zamani, that you know probably, and Reza Shahabi. And these two, of course, are the leaders of some sort of unions. Now, when we say union, they actually call themselves syndicate. That means we don't have trade union as such in Iran. It's banned. So we don't have like trade unions like in Britain or other European countries. We did have some sort of trade union movement that goes back to 1950s before that. And in 1953, as you probably know, there was a CIA staged coup d'etat in Iran. And after that, they really smashed all the workers' movement, and they brought the Shah of Iran from Switzerland, who was a young guy, and they suppressed the democratically elected government at that time. Dr. Mossadegh was a leader there of the nationalists. And after that, there was no really a trade union movement in Iran. At the beginning of the 1979 revolution against the Shah, which led to the downfall of the Shah, we started some sort of workers' movement, which within a year that this present Islamic government became established there, they suppressed again. So therefore, we don't have as such trade union movement or trade unions in Iran. So these are called syndicates. And also they have been created by the workers. This Islamic woman, and they look in the streets, what woman is observing the Islamic law, you know. If they don't observe, if they show a bit of their hair, they get arrested and they flogged in the street, you know, that sort of government we have in Iran. So obviously, this sort of a government, they cannot tolerate any workers' movement, you know. So obviously, there is always this repression which takes place, and then these workers, in particular, Sharokh Zamani, besides being leading workers, is also a socialist, and that is very unique in Iran because we don't have any socialist worker as such. You know, they have many syndicalists, many reformist workers. You know, but that is why he's become very important amongst the left organizations. As for us, it's very important that we release him, bring him out of jail in order to enhance the movement in Iran. Now, this has been the reason why these workers are in the streets, in the prison, and also we have this particularly very unusual regime in Iran, which is, you know, that sort of character that we see from ISIS now. But the other aspect, which is also a unique phenomenon in Iran, is just the working class is also a very unique working class, and that we can, you know, very clearly say that the working class in Iran, after the Russian Revolution, when they brought down the Shah of Iran, they formed Soviets. Soviets, democratic sort of formation of the workers, peasants, and various sort of layers of the society, and they were very organized. And then we had the largest strikes in Iran in order to topple the regime of the Shah, especially the oil workers in Iran. That really that was the source of bringing down the Shah, because they closed the oil production, and that's why when, as you know, any strike will harm the bourgeoisie and the capitalist class. So that sort of prolonged strike, which led to the bringing of the Shah. So therefore, from that point of view, they have a very rich experience. They're different to the workers in Egypt, Syria, other places, because they have experienced a revolution similar to Russian revolution, but without any leadership. In Russian revolution, we had a revolutionary leadership. That's why it went to different direction. Here, we have this experience behind the worker, and that is something that is not forgotten very easily. You know, they will keep this potentiality of the fight for their rights. So that's why, in spite of such a repression, the workers still are struggling in Iran, and that's why they have go and risk their lives and their families' lives in order to create syndicate activities and so on, and then they have the formation of clandestine committees, and these committees are instrumental on bringing bringing up strikes, and then we have had this for the last 30 years. Continuously, the workers have staged strikes, and the movement is going on, in spite of this very severe repression. So therefore, this is generally a general picture for you to understand what is going on in this sort of country, and then also why the workers, independent of the regime, independent of imperialism, and so on. So Sharokh Zamani, that he's in prison, he's supporter of building a trade union from below. So that's why, again, that's another reason that we are supporting him, because that will, change the whole picture in Iran for the future. Because if there is a deal, which in a few months' time we'll be clear about that, if there is a creation of a ILO-controlled trade union, then for the next 34 years, you can be sure that workers will not get anywhere. They just are going to be under control, under suppression still. But if there is this alternative, that means alternative of building a trade union from below, there is also a perspective of a revolution even in Iran, because this is potentially, there is a lot of radicalization, as I said, historically that exists there, and also there are people like Sharokh Zamani who, are socialists, and there is a good chance of preparing even for a revolution. And revolution in Iran also is in any third world countries, but Iran in particular, because it's an oil-producing country, and also it's got this experience of the past, is going to affect the whole region and the whole world, in fact, the same way the Russian Revolution affected the whole world. As you know, the Russian Revolution happened, 15 imperialist countries, from Japan and all these Europeans attacked Russia, militarily attacked. And what saved, of course, Russia at that time, it deviated after a few years, but then there's another, discussion. But at that time, it was successful. There are two elements which made it successful, and one was the leadership of the workers, the Bolshevik Party, and Trotsky, in fact, was the leader of the Red Army, and that made sure that majority of the workers defended the revolution. But another aspect was the support of the workers' movement all over the world. There were strikes at that time, to stop the imperialists to attack Russia. So that saved. And that the sort of Russian Revolution made a lot of impact upon the whole world. So that's how what is going to be if there is a revolution in country like Iran, it's definitely going to make a very, very large impact in the world. So Lenin at one stage has said that revolutions in the world, because imperialism is interlinked all over the world. All these economic systems are linked to the whole sort of imperialist system. So therefore, Lenin was saying that usually revolutions start in the weakest link. So when there is a revolution somewhere, it's like a chain. It will break all over the world, right? So this is another aspect of us to concentrate on defending the workers and preparing, for the preparation of a revolution in this sort of countries. The shortest way of seeing a revolution in Britain, for example, I think, is a revolution in this sort of countries, because here, as you know, it's just the prospect of a revolution is very far. I mean, you cannot imagine it. But if there is a revolution in that sort of countries, it will have a tremendous impact. The radicalization all over the world will happen. So that's why I think the defense of Sharokh Zamani and these workers in Iran for us is very important. And I just finish here if there is any questions.